All right, it's guys from the South Side. We're here with our spotlight player of the week, the former Tunstall Trojan and Virginia Tech Hokie, Joe Mantiply. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, how's Arizona? Well, you kind of talked about this already, but how's Arizona weather out there?
It's hard to beat. It's probably like, I don't know, it's probably like 65 degrees at this point, but
Nice.
yeah, no wind, no humidity right now, so it's pretty ideal.
Yeah, it's pretty nice here in Jacksonville too. I mean, it's like 7. It was up to 84 the other day, so I don't know about the guys back in Danville. I think they're having a hard time right now.
Yeah, they're grinding.
How many days a week you golfing out there?
Now that we started games, not as many, but and you know, I got my wife and daughter here, so
nice. Okay,
it's harder to get out. I need to give her like a 2-3 day buffer before I
there you
before
go.
I can go play. But I try to play as much as I can.
There you go. Well, let's take it back to the beginning. So, at what point did you know that you were going to be a pitcher? Like, I know you like from Little League, you were good in the outfield too. So, when did you know that you had this ability to pitch?
I'd say probably. I mean, I kind of have what they call the disease, so I throw left-handed and hit right-handed. So that doesn't really translate too well once you get to higher levels. But I was always a better pitcher than I was a hitter anyway. But I think when I got to high school, it kind of like, you know, really separated myself when it came to pitching and hitting. And I think it was pretty clear like early that if I was going to play beyond high school, it was going to be as a pitcher, not a position player. So.
Yeah. I remember from All-Stars, you started our center field, and I thought you were a pretty good hitter. So I think you're selling yourself short there, but
well,
what are some things you kind of like learned as at Tunstall? Cause I know you probably got there with, was Thompson and them there when you were there as a freshman?
Their last year was 2005. So they were seniors when I was in 8th grade, but I was around them. And then probably when I really started my freshman year, I made the team, varsity team freshman year, and I didn't really play. I didn't really pitch a lot till the end of the season. And I ended up pitching pretty well. And the next year I went and started working at it's the first time I got like lessons and stuff with like a pitching coach at North Carolina Baseball Academy.
Nice.
Down in like High Point. So that's when I started. And then my sophomore season, I was kind of like the main arm for us. So I'd say, the end of my freshman year and then that kind of summer, fall leading to my sophomore year is really when I kind of took off, I think.
Gotcha. Go ahead, Jake.
Well, I was going to ask, I mean, is there, a lot of pitchers, they can point to one person as to kind of who developed them. Was there like one person in particular that you worked with that really made all the difference? Was it a collection of people?
I'd say it was just a collection of people over the years, but the first guy I started working with was a guy named Scott Bankhead. He actually played at UNC. And then he played in the big leagues for like 10 years. He pitched in the big leagues for like 10 years.
Okay.
And he had like a really nice like baseball academy down in High Point.
Okay.
And had kind of like a travel team and stuff. So that was like the first guy I really like worked with. And then, I mean, I've just had so many pitching coaches over the years that like just taking bits and pieces from them, every one, throughout my career has definitely helped me. To continue to get better for sure.
How many bullpen sessions did your dad catch at your house? I know y'all had that back there.
Yeah, we had an Allen. I don't know. Once I got to like high school, he kind of stopped getting back there. But yeah, definitely. It was probably like when I first got to high school, it was kind of like, all right, he was like, I don't know if I can do this anymore.
That's awesome.
Let me ask you something, Joe. Did you ever, if he made you mad, did you ever throw one in the dirt?
No.
One up?
No, luckily he was always, whenever he was catching me, he would never, there wasn't much dialogue. He was very focused, it seemed.
Good.
Very concentrated on what was going on. But once, I mean, I might have hit the bucket a couple times, and I think that's where it ended.
That's awesome. So your sophomore year, you said that you became like the kind of starting pitcher for Tunstall. What was your kind of your junior and season like, or junior and senior season like? Did you kind of like explode from there?
Yeah, I think statistically, actually, I think my sophomore year might have been my best year. They were all like pretty good, but that was a really good year. And then, sophomore and junior year, junior and senior year, I just tried to just continue to get better, just kind of build on that, and just put us in a position to win. That's, that was really my job to do. And then senior year was probably the most fun because I would hit when I didn't pitch. So that was always, that was probably my best year, most fun that I had. Gotcha. I miss hitting for sure.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we went 0-4 against y'all my junior and senior year. So I can't really say much. So I'm pretty sure Joe pitched every game too. So
yeah, I think I always pitched against Chatham. I know that senior year. I think you guys won the state championship, and you only had 2 losses. Both to us.
Both to Joe Mantiply.
That was always a good. It's always a good thing I have over you guys.
Did you Did you have like a rival that you just like wanted to face off most? Was it Chatham or was it somewhere like in the Piedmont?
I think it was definitely Chatham.
Really?
Yeah, like our district, we didn't really. I feel like our biggest rival was Chatham. I mean, y'all were definitely the most competitive team. We didn't play GW. Mm-hmm. And Dan River was really good my freshman year, but then they kind of steadily got worse.
Yeah.
And Chatham was always they were by far the most competitive team, like around, close. Bassett was usually pretty good. And then, once we got into like regionals and state tournament, like those teams were from kind of the bigger areas were usually pretty good. So, but Chatham was definitely, I would consider Chatham probably our rival when it was like those times. Those were pretty competitive games.
Gotcha.
So I got to ask you, first of all, we always loved, beating Bassett because I think that's probably the school we hated most at Tunstall. But yeah, but I got to ask you, what did it mean? At Tunstall, baseball rules, and everybody knows that. Yeah. So did you ever feel like there was a lot of weight on your shoulders? Did you ever feel like there was like a torch you're carrying or any pressure or anything like that?
I'd say, yeah, like I always wanted to, those guys before us won back-to-back state championships. And my freshman year, we went to the state championship and we lost. And so, I always wanted to I wanted to win at least one. I wanted to be at least against, a part of one. So that was kind of a bummer. We made it to, I think my sophomore year, we got knocked out in the quarters. We made it in the state quarterfinals. It actually might have been in the regionals. We got knocked out that year, and then my junior and senior year, we got knocked out in the state tournament, which kind of sucked. Especially my senior year because that was kind of the last. That was the last shot, and we were pretty good. And I think I want to say I lost to Rustburg, I think, or I might have came out of the game when it was tied or something. And those games, it's always like, you look at something like, what could I have done better, to help the team. And so that was kind of the last, that one kind of stung a little bit for a while.
So you have a great sophomore year, junior and senior year, pretty good. What offers were you getting at that time, like coming in during those years?
I didn't have a ton. I committed pretty early. I committed my junior year to Virginia Tech. And I grew up a Virginia Tech fan. Obviously, like Virginia Tech football. I didn't really know much about like any other sport they had, but I'd been to football games there. That was like the only place I've been to college football games, and I just loved the area. And so it came down to UNC Charlotte or Virginia Tech. Okay. And I really liked UNC Charlotte, but at the time, I wanted like the small town. I didn't want to go to Charlotte. It's just kind of too big of a city for me at that point. So I kind of wanted the small college town kind of feel. And when I went up there and visited, it was just, I just definitely could see myself playing there. And
gotcha.
So, yeah.
And then you also got drafted your senior year. So what was that process like of like think about going pro after your high school year or and going to tech?
Well, we had pretty much like, I wasn't ready for pro ball, and I had some, I had who's my agent now. He was kind of my advisor, I guess, then. And he was Will Emmons' agent, so that's how I met him.
Okay.
But he was, obviously kind of knows professional baseball players and stuff, and he was like, "Look, man, I think you'll benefit from going to school. I don't think you're ready for pro ball, just from a physical and even like mature wise. Like it's really tough coming out of high school to jump into like the pro ball's pretty tough. Just the business side of it, and just kind of, you got to grow up really quick. So I was committed to going to school, and when the draft came around, started getting some, scouts around and stuff. And we pretty much set a really high, like, number, life-changing kind of money number. And I wasn't really a guy that was going to get, what I wanted. So it was a pretty easy decision, but it was cool to go through the process, and kind of have your name attached to that, so that was cool.
If there had been a certain team that like kind of drafted you at your senior year, like let's say like your favorite, who was your favorite team in MLB?
I was a Braves fan.
If they had drafted you your senior year, would you have thought more about it?
I don't know. Probably not.
Gotcha.
I was pretty dead set on like, I wasn't ready. I was, I might have been topping out at like, 88, 89 maybe in high school. And I mainly was, I just needed to mature. I was projectable, I was tall, skinny, but I needed to put some weight on. And I've always been kind of a late bloomer. So I just physically and mentally, I wasn't ready for that. So, and I'm really glad I didn't sign.
So speaking about being drafted, I know that you were drafted after your junior year at Tech, and then again after your senior year. What was it about? So same type question. Your junior year at Tech. What made you come back for that senior year, as opposed to going pro then?
Yeah, I was definitely ready to sign. I knew the things pulling me back, and I knew how good we were going to be my senior year. We had pretty much everybody coming back, and I was like I would have been I ended up being like the kind of the anchor to our pitching staff. I was like the, senior, been there for 4 years and pitched for 4 years. And so I had that coming back, and obviously I wanted to get as much of my school done as possible. And I just set pretty much a number for like a signing bonus, and ended up getting offered about half of what I thought I was worth, what I kind of put myself at. And to me, it just, the money would have been great, but at the end of the day, I'm really glad I made the decision. And a lot of things worked out, but yeah, it was just kind of I set a number of what I wanted, and nobody wanted to pay me that. So I was like, all right, I had a plan, and I just committed to the plan. So
Good deal.
Yeah.
And Joe, throwing it back to Tunstall for a little bit,
For sure.
A long string of guys, elite guys coming out of that program, Jacob and Justin Thompson, Luke Simpson, Will Inman, like you mentioned. What is it about that program at Tunstall that breeds these elite athletes?
I think it was just like the whole community, the whole, like the coaching staff, everybody was bought in, all the parents, kind of Will and Jake, that group kind of set the bar. And, their whole career there, everybody was excited about, Tunstall baseball. Like they won, and, they had the state championships. And, yeah, I think it was just, everybody was bought in. And then, Coach Shelton and Coach Austin and Coach Woods, they really got everybody ready to play. And, it was just, everybody just enjoyed it. We had a great, we were fortunate to have great players as well. But yeah, I think it was just a rare a rare group of guys just coming through the same school. It's just kind of hard to say what exactly it was, but everybody was bought in that program for sure.
So I want to spring forward here. All right. So with all that in mind, I think I looked up, it was 2016 you made your debut. It was a game in Kansas City.
Yeah.
What's going through your mind when you go out on the mound for the first time in a major league game?
I remember it being, they were sold out that night, and it was probably like 40,000, I think that place holds. And I was coming in with 2 outs. There was 2 runners on. So I was really thinking like, man, I don't want to give up somebody's runs like my debut. It was Mark Lowe, actually, he was having a tough year that year, but it was, he's been in the big leagues for 4 or 5 years at that point. And last thing you want to do is cash in somebody's run. So I was thinking about that for sure. And then I was thinking about like how it was so loud. It was almost like deafening. It was like it was so loud, but you couldn't really hear it. It's hard to explain.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it was just crazy. I wish I could say like I stepped back and like took it all in, but I didn't. My head was rolling like for 1,000 miles a minute. So it was, when it was over, it was like, man, what happened? It was almost like kind of blacked out. So, but yeah, it was pretty cool.
Now I have a question about, so of course you have to go through minor leagues to get to that point.
Yeah.
Is the minor leagues as tough as they say, like as far as the travel and all that stuff that comes with it?
Yeah. So when we first signed, in college, like we stayed at nice hotels, like we got pretty good meal money, stuff like that. You're treated really well, especially like in the ACC. And when I first signed and I flew down to Lakeland, you go to the spring training complex to like sign and stuff. And at the time, like Lakeland they had these dorms, and like they were the same dorms that they had like in the 70s, like no upgrades, nothing.
Gosh.
Yeah. So like I walked in and like go to my room, and it's like, oh man, like what have I done? Like, like it was a very like eye-opening, very eye-opening experience. And then we were there for about a week, and then we flew out the short season, most of us that signed that year. And we were in Norwich, Connecticut, like living with a host family. It was kind of like summer ball, like in college you go play summer ball. It was very similar to that. But then the next spring training was when it was kind of like, that's when you first really get a taste of like what pro ball's like spring training, minor league side. Like there's 200 guys there fighting for like 100 spots.
Jeez.
So it's super competitive for one. And then even then, like we're in those same dorms and we're sleeping 4-door room. The food's not great. Like you don't have a lot of money. And then once you go to some of those, some of the places you do go in the minor leagues, like the travel's pretty bad. You long bus rides, one bus with like a whole team, and you're staying in crappy hotels. And it's definitely a grind, but everybody, like, it's fun. I mean, I can't say I haven't enjoyed, like, some of my favorite days in pro ball are in some of those crappy hotels in a crappy town, like just hanging with the boys and playing ball. I mean, it's great.
Did you have like a favorite city that you went to or visited?
Minor league city. Well, in the International League and AAA, like all this, the cities you go to are pretty good. Like Charlotte, Durham, Louisville, Indianapolis. Like there's some good spots in that league. Once you get up to the higher levels, it gets better. But some of those, there's some low-hay places. Like there's some A-ball cities they're not even they just did away with a couple leagues. So a lot of them aren't great. But I remember Clinton, Iowa was like, that was the Mariners. And the big thing they have there is like they make like dog food or something. So the whole town smells like dog food. Yeah, it's cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So that was some of the places are pretty tough.
Gotcha. And something that seems to be happening a lot lately. I mean, is his whole like Tommy John surgery. So you kind of got injured there, like, and I've seen like seen a lot of pitchers this happen to. I mean, what kind of factors into that? Like, what happens with that type of injury?
I think a lot of it's wear and tear.
Gotcha.
Just a lot of throws, a lot of stress. Mine was kind of like the doctor thinks it was. So I tore my Tommy John like in 2018, and it was kind of like the way it looked like it was like just years of just fraying apart, and then finally it just went. So it was kind of a blessing in disguise. It was luckily I didn't get hurt early. I think that's early in your career, that's what holds a lot of guys back, is getting hurt. So I was able to kind of establish myself, and then so when I went through the rehab process, I was definitely more mature and took it a lot more serious than I probably would have if I was 22, 21. So it was actually and I'm personally, I'm a lot better now since the surgery.
So how long is that process, like from when the surgery takes place to rehab? How long is that process typically?
Yeah, mine was 15 months. So,
now, can that vary? Like if it's an older player, for instance, could that be a lot
so they
longer?
have everybody's program's a little different. Every doctor has a different protocol.
Sure.
And it's all based off really when you start throwing. So some like the original protocol was like they would start throwing in like 4 months, and now they've pushed that back to. I started throwing at 6 months. That's where guys kind of go. That's where most of the protocols go to.
Okay.
And then they've got lots of research that says like they say like coming back before like 14 months in like live games can actually the percentage of having another elbow surgery like torn UCLs is like exponentially higher than if you wait till like 15 months. So most guys go to like shoot for 15 months, I think. Most doctors. Yeah.
Gotcha. And so that happens. You can make your rehab. You get healthy again, and then you're with the Yankees. And so I believe it was sometime in August in 2019 you make your kind of debut with them, and actually your first win. What was that like in that part?
Yeah, that was definitely better than my time with Detroit, just because I'd kind of been there, experienced it, and so I wasn't as focused on like wide-eyed and but I was definitely more focused and more in control, not as nervous, and because it's pretty nerve-wracking experience. But so I was actually with Cincinnati. So I was with New York in 2017. I was in AAA with them, with the Yankees all year, and then I signed with Cincinnati, had surgery. Came back in 19, I was in AAA, and then got traded back to New York, and then got called up with them. So I already knew some of the guys just because I'd been around them a couple of years before. So that was cool. That helped with like kind of the transition of not being. It's pretty weird when you go to a new team and you don't know anybody. It's just awkward. So it was nice to not have that kind of awkward period of first getting there, and I was able to just really focus on, pitching. So, that was good.
What is it like with MLB being like the business side of it, like where you are, with the major league team, then you get, designated for a reassignment and you're down to the AAA. What's that process like? Is that like taxing on you, or do you just kind of accept it and just kind of move on?
Yeah, it sucks for sure. Cause like getting on the roster is like, you got those guys on the roster. So when it comes to like who's going to get called up and not, like the roster guys always get called up first just because they're already on the, the roster. So it definitely sucks. But like the longer you're in the game, like you start to realize that like it's not personal. It's clearly a business move. And, you kind of have to put yourself in the shoes of like the front office and like, what would I do, in this position? And they had a lot of guys that were injured, that were coming off the DL. So I think when I got designated, this guy named Jonathan Loizaga was coming off the DL, and he was kind of one of their like big prospects, and pitched a lot up and down for them. So I just happened to be the guy that was, expendable pretty much. So that it does suck, but it's part of the game. And, at some point it's like, okay, whatever, I still have to go out and pitch. So can't get caught up in it really. So
have you had like a favorite, who's your favorite person that you pitched to so far? Like whether it be the best or just someone you had fun going against?
I'd probably say my first strikeout was Pedro Alvarez. So that was, that was good. And then, my favorite person to probably pitch against in the big leagues was, a couple of years ago, like Chris Davis was like,
wow,
kind of an automatic out. He's really been struggling. So
that's true.
I hope he doesn't listen to this.
Yeah. Well, whatever. But no, he was a comfortable AB just because he was, he's kind of, I don't know what he's been going through, but he just, hadn't been himself for the last couple of years. So that's just kind of like, especially as a young guy, like that's a guy you want to face, somebody's struggling. So,
I'll flip that. Who was the hardest person to pitch against?
I don't know about in the big leagues, but the guys that gave me fits, a couple guys gave me fits in the minor leagues coming up was Trey Turner was always tough. And then Reese Hoskins for the Phillies.
Yeah.
They both kind of they're both not like, they're a pretty bad matchup for me when it comes to, they hit lefties really well and they're both just like really good hitters. So they always just seem to hit me hard no matter what. So yeah, they were always tough outs. And Trey gave me fits in college too. He was a tough out in college. So,
and is there a pitcher that you modeled your game after growing up or even once you got into the majors, somebody that you watch?
Yeah, I used to always be, I was a big Tom Glavine fan just because I was a Braves fan. He was left-handed. So, that's who I always kind of imitated. And then, probably my favorite guy to watch, just because I knew him, I was around him, was CC, man. He was,
nice.
CC was like the best. He was the best, probably the best teammate I've seen, like in the big leagues. He was just, he went through a lot a couple years ago, and he was just like the ultimate, like, team captain. Like that's what you envision, like how you like having that much success and being that like down to earth. He treated everybody the same way, no matter who you were, and just a really good dude.
And I was looking at something on MLB.com. So talking about your pitching repertoire, like I see where you go to, I think I have this right, a sinker, a curveball against lefties more often. Is that just because like the angle, or what do you see with that? Like what you?
Yeah, usually that's just just something with lefties. Like their left-hander hitters swing takes them towards first base. So most lefties, there are some outliers, but for the majority, most lefties crush down and in. They struggle down and away, and they struggle up and in. That's just where, that's just kind of how their momentum takes them. So I try to stay like kind of in those zones. I try to stay up and in on lefties and then down and away. So that's, my breaking ball, that's usually where it goes, down and away. And then I try to run fastballs up on their hands just to kind of jam them a little bit and give them a different look. So now some guys, a lot of guys in the big leagues hit both, but that's typically like kind of my strengths against left-handed hitters. So
gotcha. What are you doing with the right-handed hitter? What are you looking like, low and away?
Yeah, I go the same way, just opposite. So up and in, and then change ups down the way, and then I throw breaking balls to righties too. So I'll try to back foot like breaking balls.
Nice.
If I get to that point, but most of the time I try to pitch to contact. I try to stay in the zone and get early outs. That's usually my goal. And then if I get ahead 1-2-0-2 and I get a chance to try to put somebody away, I'll go ahead and try to do that. But most of the time I just try to pitch to contact, and my goal is to get three up, 3 down on 3 pitches every inning. So
there you go.
Yeah, and that would be ideal.
And then after 2019, I think you became a free agent. What was that process like? What teams were reaching out to you, and how did you kind of come up with that decision?
Yeah. Well, I'd been through it a couple times. So after I got DFA'd in 16 by Detroit, I got claimed on waivers by New York, and then they DFA'd me too, like right before they set rosters, and so I became a free agent that year. But I re-signed with them like immediately, so I didn't really go through the process. And then after the 17 season, when I signed with Cincinnati, that was like my first time going through like the free agent process. And you don't really do much. You kind of just hang back, and my agent like reaches out to people, or people reach out to him, and he kind of relays the messages to me, and then kind of gives his input. He kind of tells me what he thinks a good fit and like who he likes to deal with. And so yeah, after that season, when the first time with Arizona, that was that first year that previously I'd signed for, Thanksgiving, and I didn't sign with them until after the first of the year. So, then it starts getting a little stressful once you get, you start getting close to spring training and you still don't have a job. And it's like, you're just kind of, your mind's racing all the time of like, all right, is this it? Like, am I done? Or, yeah, you're just hoping to hear from somebody. So, yeah, no, it was good. And then, last year, fortunately, I pitched pretty well in spring training, and into the 60-man deal, and with the COVID stuff, and pitched pretty well at the alternate site, and ended up getting another shot with them. So yeah, so I got DFA'd right after the season. This past off season, I signed back with them right away. I just loved it here. So
what has that process been like with COVID? Like, is there like a lot more things you got to follow, like as far as guidelines and stuff like that? Or
yeah, we're pretty restricted. We get tested every other day. We do like a saliva test. We like spit in a tube, and then the results come back usually in like 24 hours. So we do that every day. We're separated throughout the complex, so it's just a major league camp here. The minor league guys don't come until minor league spring doesn't start until April. So the major league team and AAA is supposed to start in April, and then the minor league spring training will begin then. So yeah, we're separated throughout 3 different clubhouses, and we have to wear masks, and just kind of there's a lot of rules. So it's pretty strict. They don't, we can't go out to eat or do any of that stuff. So we just cook at the house. We can play golf. So that's pretty much like,
there we go.
Like go to parks and stuff. So that's pretty much all we can do, really. So
wow. Well, so with the Diamondbacks now, is there like, when you do these process of like signing with the teams, they kind of tell you what your role is going to be? Like, you're a specialist for left-handed batters, or are you going to be there for like a long-term relief, short-term relief? How's that work out?
Yeah, they kind of give you, like, for me, they definitely give you like kind of your role. And for me, I think they see me in a few roles, and they just kind of want to see right now, like, what probably will suit me best. I'd say they probably see me better as like a long relief, because I can throw multiple innings. I'm not just like a 1 inning type of guy. But I can also throw like back end innings. So it'll just depend on what they see the team needing, really. And then fortunately I can be flexible and kind of fill whatever role they need. So I think that's one thing that, made them want to sign me back.
I've been asking I'll let you guys go. I've been asking too many questions. I could talk this all day. It's stuff.
Well, I mean, that was really one of the things I was curious about, is what life is like, playing in the MLB with COVID. And I think y'all were kind of mentioning off the top of me, are they going to let any fans in, or what's the latest stance on at least what the Diamondbacks are going to do?
Yeah. We have fans at our games right now. I think we've had like 2,000 a game at the last few games. So it's nice. Unfortunately, when it comes to like the rules and stuff, like, I mean, if you got Twitter, you'll probably find out before I do. We're usually the last ones to find out the info. So Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to try to do fans. I don't see why they couldn't. They had fans at the end of the year last year, like the World Series and the playoffs. They had fans at certain games. So I think they're definitely going to try to do whatever they can to get fans there. And I hope they do, because playing in empty stadiums is, I mean, it's still fun. It's still like an adrenaline rush. But, when you got, 20, 30,000 there, it's like, it's just a whole nother level.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and one more question for me. I mean, what are your hopes for this year, for you personally, for the team? What are your hopes?
Yeah, I mean, team wise, like, we're in a tough division. We got LA and San Diego. So
God, please beat LA.
Yeah. I mean, they both those teams are all in. So it's us and San Fran and Colorado are the other three. And I think we're going to be sneaky really good. We didn't really make any big moves. Kind of a small, compared to the other two, we're a pretty small market team. So it's kind of hard, especially last year, teams didn't really make too much money. So, but we got some really good players, and, I'm hoping to just be a part of the, obviously I'd love to make the team out of camp, but that's super hard to do, especially when you're not on the roster. So I really just want to, hopefully contend for a spot and, hopefully help the team out some way and keep this thing rolling.
And Joe, we're in spring training right now. Is there anything that you're looking to work on or anything that you're trying to get better at before the season starts?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like my command I'm always working on. I'm usually a pretty good command guy, but I think it can always get better. And then just kind of refine everything, sharpen everything up. I've been feeling pretty good. I threw yesterday. Pitched pretty well, and so my stuff's kind of taken a jump the last couple years. So nice. Yeah, I'm feeling good, man.
Nice. Good. Well, if you do face Ronald Acuna, take it easy on him. Yeah, we're all three Braves fans, so we're trying to get to that World Series this year.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll be facing them. We're pretty far away. So,
good.
It'll have to be in the playoffs.
I got one more. I mean, we have a pitcher on the podcast. We gotta ask this question, Joe. Where do you stand on the whole bat flipping?
Oh yeah.
When I actually get more mad when like guys bat flip against like my buddies who are pitching. Like usually for me, it's like if I give up a homer, like that's worth a bat flip, like go for it. Like, but I mean, yeah, that's kind of the way the game's going, man. It's like, I'm more of like an old school kind of, more professional style. I like guys that just like, act like you've been there, like hit a homer and, not try to show anybody up. Like, I don't try to show anybody up when I strike somebody out. But it's just, it's kind of the way the game's going. The game's getting younger and younger. And, I'm not against it by any means. I think it brings, something different and brings viewers and gets people into the game. So, when my teammates do it, I love it, obviously. So.
If your buddy gets up a home run, they bat flip on you, bench is clear. Are you holding people back? Or are you in there getting into it?
No, I'm probably in there chirping at some point. I'm finding somebody to chirp at from the back.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
And aren't you doing like a side kind of thing with like the beef business or something like that?
Yeah. So my wife's family has always raised cattle, and nice. So I've kind of gotten into that since we've been together. And so yeah, we raise purebred Angus cattle, and we mostly sell seed stock, like breeding stock, but we sell some beef direct to consumers, nice. Direct to some local people, and yeah, it's pretty good, little nice. Gig, keeps me busy in the off season. So
that's awesome. Well, we appreciate you coming on and everything. Where can our fans find you out on social media?
So I'm on Instagram and I'm on Facebook. I got rid of Twitter. Just Twitter my day on Twitter turned into just nothing but blocking people. So
Right.
I was a little exhausted with that. But yeah, I'm on Instagram. I don't even know my handle. I don't think I'm not super active on social media. I like it to like keep, obviously, like Facebook and stuff, to keep up with, people from back home and stuff. Like that's how kind of, Jake got in touch with me.
Nice.
So yeah, I like Facebook for that, for that reason. And but yeah, so I think my Twitter handle my Instagram handle might just be J Mantiply.
Nice. Not Joe Bird or anything like that, or
no, J Mantiply 91. Yeah.
J Mantiply 91. Okay.
Yep.
That's awesome. Well, we appreciate you coming on, and we hope maybe one day we'll see you in some red and blue with the Braves on front of it. So
for sure, man, I would love that.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for having me, man. It's fun.
Yeah, thank you for
we
coming on.
appreciate it, man.
Appreciate it,
sure.
Joe.
We'll do it again.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Well,